Hey guys, so Simon here from VPCC. Now, this week on the Vlogcast, I get Tim on board and we talk about where he started with his fitness and what his goals are for this year. Now, I've worked with Tim when he was training for Ironman, but this time he's come on board as a pure cyclist. And we talk about where he started off from his fitness, because the last 2 years he's been building his own business. So he's not been focusing on fitness at all. So we've been talking about where he's come from, where we've taken him to in the few short months that he's been with us, and what his goals are. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Hey Tim, so welcome to the Vlogcast. Really good to have you on board. We've been talking about doing this for a while now.
It has been a while, yeah.
It has been a while. I think when we just talked before we went online, it was the 18th of December that you started training with Velo Performance, isn't it?
Sounds about right, yep.
Yeah, cool. So, the thing is, I think the cool thing about doing these podcasts is to get my athletes, cyclists, on board so people can see what we do, how I talk to you guys, some of the fun that we have, and also some of the training stuff that we do. So,
yeah,
I think we should just jump straight into it. And I think when you first started, tell us where you were coming from a fitness-wise. Like where were we taking you from, and what's our goal to take you to?
Okay. My last 6-7 years background has been triathlon and working towards the 3 Ironman competitions that I did. So those being Barcelona, Copenhagen, and then South Africa. And I will be brutally honest, when I finished South Africa, as much as I loved it, I was fairly sickened by the training and the long sessions, and I just needed a break.
Yeah.
So I sort of put the bike in the man cave, and it got covered by everything else, and I prioritized my business, which was the diving, and so my bike actually ended up being more of a rack to hold my dive kit on than actually getting out and cycling.
So tell me about that. So when you first started your business, when was that? A couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, it was 2018, December 2018.
Yeah.
So I was, really busy and trying to make time. As much as I enjoy training and exercise, and I do find it's a good release for me, sort of mentally and physically. It just I had to prioritize my business, and I didn't have the time to then go out and do a 3-4 hour bike ride, and so I completely lost any structure in training. And very quickly, a year went by and I hadn't even been out on the bike.
Yeah. And what was your fitness? So what were you doing for fitness? Just bits and pieces, or
just doing bits and pieces, sporadic bits in the gym. Occasionally I'd go out on the bike, but there was no structure whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it was very, very hit and miss because I didn't have a goal. I fell into that very easy trap of with no goal, just that doesn't really matter. Conscious of my overall health, I'm fairly good with my nutrition anyway, so I'm fairly on point with that. So it's not like I turned into this obese monster. It was just more
fitness dropped.
And then it probably it became like it always does. It became a bigger hill to then climb up, so it just got sidelined.
Yeah. So to be honest, so looking at your fitness when you first started with Velo Performance, where was it when you first started with us?
I would say very poor. I've been doing stuff in the gym. So I've been ticking over on that front. However, cardiovascularly, terrible. I hadn't been out. I have knee issues historically, so I was conscious of not going out running. And even into my last Ironman, I wasn't really running much at all. I was relying on the bike. Cardiovascularly, that dropped off massively. So when I sort of got in touch with you to let's pull my finger out and get going again, it was a bit of a eye-opener as to how much it had dropped off, to be honest.
Okay, so anybody watching this, and this is quite a cool thing, when you first came to us, I'm always a bit reticent to give people tests right off, but we were like, let's do this, because actually
let's see where we are, because for me it was interesting as well, because I knew where I had been previously, and so to sort of see the numbers was going to be interesting.
So this is quite a cool thing. So we talked about it, and we were like, look, we kind of need to figure out where your fitness is, and we could work off RPE, which I've done in the past with people coming on board, and like, look, we can just do this for a couple of weeks and get you into the role of things. People are like, no, want to test, let's see where I'm at. Like, okay, well, that makes sense. So, talking to you, knowing you, it's like, let's give that a shot. But when you first did your fitness test, you came back with a number that was, I've got to be honest, surprising, because I was like, wow, okay, so it's quite amazing what can happen over a 2-year period of where your fitness was to where it is now.
Let's be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Let's be brutally honest. My cousin's 6-year-old girl could have done a stronger FTP test than I did.
However, what the cool thing is that we knew that was a good marking point. We also knew that actually potentially it was not actually a good performance in that respect, because it's starting straight off the bat. So we're like, look, we'll retest that again. We'll do the training. We'll work off some numbers. We'll be intuitive, and we'll run RP alongside it. So we know that even if we have an idea of what your numbers are for, let's say, aerobic capacity, that you're running along not just thinking, well, those are my numbers, but looking and going, we think those are the numbers, but if we work it off an intuitive sense of understanding what we should be doing, do we think they're right? And quite quickly, we kind of understood that they weren't that right.
Yeah.
So after about, I think it was 2-3 weeks, we retested again, didn't we? And then we got some pretty decent value numbers. So we started off, let's tell everybody what it was. We started off at 170 FTP.
No.
Don't tell anybody that. It's too late. It's out there on YouTube. And then 3 weeks later, once we'd sort of like really got our heads around it, we put in a really straightforward, decent test of 270 to get an FTP of 270. Now, I think from our perspective, when we were looking at it, it was like, that made total sense. It's like, look, we kind of need to start from somewhere. So testing is quite a cool thing, but it doesn't mean, I'm talking to you about it in the process in the first 3 weeks. It's like, look, don't stress about it. We just need to get a really clear idea of where you're currently at and what we need to do. We knew the training was going to work. We just wanted to try and make sure that we went under or over cooking, which is kind of the whole reason why when I put the training together for people, it's like we need to work off intuition as well as numbers. But that was cool, because I remember having a little laugh with you right from the start. We were like, oh my word, where have I got to with my fitness?
I was ready to go and sell the bike, to be honest, and go and hide in a dark corner.
But I wasn't going to let you do that. It was like, no, we've got a goal. So what is your goal? What are you going to be doing with us at the end of the year?
Well, there's a couple of things. What sparked me back into action really was thinking I need to do another event.
Yeah.
And so I decided I am going to do Ironman again. And at the ripe old age of 48, I thought, well, what would be a good benchmark for me would be to try and get back to that sort of level of training and fitness. And how cool would it be at 50 to be able to beat my younger self? So my goal is to at 50 do one of the races I've already done, and sorry, that's just my phone going in the background. Shall I redo that bit?
No, it's fine. Just crack on. It's normal. It's live, so it doesn't need to be perfect.
It'd be really cool if I could, at the age of 50, do one of the races I've already done and do it quicker than my younger self.
Okay, so that's future goal. This year, what have we got planned, or what are you thinking of doing this year?
Well, I'm going, hopefully, depending on workload, going with you and a couple of others over to go riding at the end of the year. So we're
going to ride Mount Ventoux 3 times.
3 times.
You, me, my twin brother, and a great mate of mine.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be our 50th, like my twin brother last year, and you were like, I want some of that. So I was like, great, okay, look, come with us. You need to be fit for this because we're not going to play nice.
When do you ever play nice?
That's a scurrilous rumor. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's not.
Something.
That's one of the big goals. I'm hoping to do that. It's all dependent on work for me. But then also you and we are doing one of the local sportives in Yorkshire, which is called the Struggle.
Yeah.
Struggle with Dales. So we're going to do that next month.
Looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
It's going to be hilly.
Which we have done before, you and I. Climbing up hills has never been a strong point of mine. So I've been working a lot on that.
Yeah. So if we talk about the training, so when you first started, I was like, look, I know you're busy. You've got your own business, plus you're also working outside of that too, and you're running a very busy COVID unit. So it was like, we need to make sure that your training is time efficient, but it also is really meaningful, and also gives you a day off at the weekend so you can spend with your other half. Otherwise,
Otherwise, I will be getting divorced.
Exactly. And I think we talked about this, like, look, we just need to make sure that we can make sure that everything that we're doing is working and pushing you forward. The cool thing is because it's not a loss of volume. What I love, in fact, is when we look at the training and we make it specific, is that you're getting it done. So if you look back at your training peaks, your consistency throughout your whole time so far with Velo Performance is that it's been on point. There has been 1 week where you've just hit key sessions, but that's because work went bonkers.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is that you can see just by the numbers, if we just go by the numbers alone, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. But if we just use the numbers, we can see that your fitness has definitely grown.
Oh, absolutely. And just anecdotally, I will go out on an easy spin on the bike now, and I'm without looking at the power meter, because I don't like sort of focusing on it, but just going for a nice easy ride. I get back and I've actually been doing an average power, which was probably 20-30 watts over what my FTP when we first started was, and I've been out for sort of 2-3 hours, and so it's absolutely, anecdotally, my fitness levels have ramped up.
And I think what's pretty cool when we look at that is that I always think when my cyclists are improving their fitness, that must give them such a motivational boost that they go, actually, do you know what? For the time that I've been spending in training, I'm faster, my numbers are better, as in power numbers across the board. And because they've got me as a check-in, they know that they've got someone that's keeping them right and straight.
Yeah.
So for everybody watching this, I want to try and keep these as short but kind of as informative as possible. And everybody watching this, what have you, since you've started with Velo Performance, what things do you enjoy about what we do, and what things do you think people watching in would learn from you as a member? I
enjoy the camaraderie of the the group. It's a nice bunch of people. There's no egos in there, which is important, because there's so much sort of negativity and rubbish that you sort of get bombarded with day to day. So it really is nice. And I mean, a lot of the guys on there, I don't know personally, but there's a little bit of banter going sort of backwards and forwards, which is nice. And supportive as well. You know, there's no dumb ass questions that sort of go in there and aren't answered. You know, people give their honest opinions. So
I think what's really cool is like because I've got experience of setting these things up before, I always wanted it to be informative, educational, and a bit of fun. And we want to talk about what's going on in the racing world. So we've been talking about all the spring classics and who's been doing really well, and asking people who their favourite rider is. So it is all about cycling, but it's also a really good educational forum where you, as you say, and I think this was really cool, is that everybody's quite happy to ask questions in there and answer them. And it's just a nice, cool place to do that, knowing that you're going to get a decent answer out. Because I don't know about you, I am a member of other Facebook groups which obviously aren't private, but they're open. And what I generally see from that is that the quality of information coming back is poor. And with the greatest in the world, the Mickey taking is massive. Now, I'm cool for that. And you guys take the Mickey out of me all the time. It's like, in the group, like, well, was Simon riding? It's like, okay, I may have ridden off the front a couple of times, so kill me. But it's like, what I often see in these Facebook groups is there's way too much Mickey taking, in the fact that it's almost confusing in the information coming backwards and forwards. Like, what is real, what isn't? So all I ever really wanted to do was give people a really cool space to ask really decent questions, have a bit of fun, talk about what they love and their passion, and get them more involved. So I think getting you guys at the start of the year to really dial into what you wanted to achieve and set a time frame on it has really worked wonders with everybody, because they'll all get, do you know what? When I first started, I just wanted to get fit, but actually what I really want to do by this day. So John was saying the other day when I spoke to him in his monthly review, I was saying, your date is like middle of the year to do your first 100. He's like, yeah, I know that. I'm like, fine. So and he's been on it with his training because he's got that firmly in his mind, and it's what we've agreed. And I think that's what's really cool. And I love that, and I love the fact that it connects people up and down the country.
For me, having that focal point of an event, I think is key, because you don't make excuses for not doing a training session. You know that it's important that you sort of hit those. But having the flexibility of the training that you're also putting in, and like you sort of said, if it's sort of hitting the 3 key sessions, those, that if that's all you can do, then and that takes a bit of the stress out of it as well, because
that's good.
With going into Ironman, I was worried about missing a session. Am I going to complete it because I've missed these sessions? But knowing that and speaking to you and having that support from you on a personal level, that's not going to be the case. And so that, I think that's important as well.
So look, anybody listening in, the cool thing is for them to understand what these key things mean. Because the way that I write is I give you like a week's program, and then I give you 3 key sets. And what I say to people is when they join, it's like, look, if you're struggling on time, just do the key sessions, do them in sync, and then at least try and give yourself a day's recovery in between, because some of them might be quite tough. That way you're getting good quality training in, and you're getting good recovery in, but it also makes it very time efficient. And I think that I love to hear that from the guys at Velo Performance when they say, look, I was really busy, so I only hit the key sessions. I'm like, that is exactly the way that you should play it. And it lets them feel a little bit more confident about the fact that they haven't hit everything, but they've just hit what they needed to do. So I love it. I just think that's really cool to hear that people do it along those lines.
Yeah.
Is there, I'm just trying to think, so Yorkshire's what, 6 weeks away?
About that now, yeah.
About
Yeah,
that.
5 weeks, I think, yeah.
5 weeks away. I think when I look at your training and your fitness levels, because if you look at the numbers, and this is where the numbers really do come into, and I talk about the numbers as in sort of what Training Peaks gives us in terms of fitness and form and everything else like that. When you look at the numbers, you are definitely ahead of the game where I expected you to be, which is great. And I love that. So it's like, well, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to just enjoy the day. Fingers crossed. The weather's going to be okay.
Yeah, hopefully the weather's okay. I do still expect to get dropped off your back wheel because you're like a ferret up a drain pipe.
Yeah, loads of people have said to me that like you are going to play nice with Tim, aren't you? I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to play nice with Tim. It's supposed to be fun. And they were like, yes, we know what your nice means. But no, I think it's just going to be really good to connect because I think this last year, pretty much, we've all been, and this is why Velo Performance works because we're all over the place. We've all been socially disconnected from our friends and we can't ride with them, but by being connected in the group, we've all got commonality and goal. But it's really nice to meet up with you guys and do the odd event and have a bit of fun.
Well, we haven't seen each other personally for sort of over a year, have we? So
do you know how long it is?
No, go on.
3 years.
It's never, is it?
It is, yeah. I was looking at it the other day because I was chatting to my twin brother, and he goes, "When was the last time we caught up?" And I said, "It's 2 years." I said, "Well, that means I haven't seen Tim for 3. Been that long.
When you came down for the opening of the dive shop, so that was December 2018, wasn't it?
19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe, well, okay, so like 2 and a bit years.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know.
So I think it'd be really good to go and do these things, and this is why I think it's. I was chatting to Andrew, who's in Velo Performance, and we were talking about things that he's focusing on this year, and I think we were both agreeing that we all needed an adventure. We all felt like we needed to do something that was, whether it was at home, and I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's going to be an adventure at home that we do, but we all needed something to make us feel like, we were doing something a little bit different and out of the norm. We've all been stuck inside for so long.
I know. It's horrific, isn't it?
And then he was like, "Oh no, what have I just said out loud?" I was like, "Yeah, too late." So look, if we just finish off here, one thing I think I'm going to ask you, and I asked this of Lucy, who came onto the Vlogcast. It's like, if there is one thing, and it doesn't need to do with fitness or anything else like that, it could be just lifestyle, whatever. And I'm nicking this idea from Danny Lennon from Sigma Nutrition, who I thoroughly respect, and he's way more intelligent than I'll ever be. If there's one thing that you could recommend people watching this could do to improve their life, what would that be?
One thing. Right. Yeah. Wow. I think. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
You have to tell us.
Yeah. No. One thing. You should have given me a heads up, shouldn't you? Told me to think about it beforehand.
I've got loads, but the one thing
Go on.
The one thing that I think that, I mean, obviously I would always say nutrition is really important to look at, but actually the one thing I think is really important is just don't overthink stuff. Or even actually narrower than that, I often think we get in our way so much that actually the one thing that people can do is when they're struggling, or if they're not making a movement forward, is to take a step. One little step to whatever you need to do. So in the morning you wake up and you feel like you don't want to do anything, just move forward fractionally to what you need to do, whether that's training, brushing your teeth, whatever. But that movement often creates more movement, whereas doing nothing creates nothing.
Yeah. No.
And I've learned that from just running business. It's like when you feel lost in a box and you can't get out, just make a movement forward. Just a tiny one creates more.
Well, even on I suppose for me, the one the one thing I would say is very much along those lines. It is even on your crappiest day, and you really can't face training, just get out and do something, or do something productive. If you can't face, because it's raining and you can't face another session on Zwift, just do some flexibility and sort of self massage or something. Something productive to make yourself feel better, because otherwise you'll finish the day and you'll kick yourself and feel guilty about it, which is a crazy sort of scenario to get yourself in. But then you beat yourself up, and then it becomes that negative spiral. But if you do that one thing, even just go for a walk, do some stretches, whatever it is, and then you're finishing the day knowing that you have at least done something productive. I think I would say that's probably a good thing.
Cool. Well, look, let's finish off with that. That's I think anybody watching, that's 2 bits of really cool advice there that it's like, they can take away and go, yeah, okay. And I think this the great thing about doing this podcast, we get to speak to real people and talk about what's all our mistakes that we do, and it gives people an idea of what I'm all about here at Velo Performance. So look, thank you, Tim. Really cool to have you on board. And
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in 6 weeks' time.